You're listening to the Secure Dad Podcast. Discover ways to secure your home, protect your family, and embrace your role as a protector parent. Welcome, friend. I'm Andy Murphy, the creator of The Secure Dad. This podcast serves to help families become proactive in their safety. The information I share on this podcast is for general information purposes only. My goal is to empower you to make safer decisions for yourself and your family. Today we're talking about a growing issue in stores: facial recognition being used to track us and sell to us. I'll explain what's going on and where we're headed and what we can do about it. All of that and more ahead on the Secure Dad Podcast. If you don't know what the dark web is, don't worry. You are not alone. Most people don't know what it really is or what it does. My free PDF guide, The Dark Web for Parents, will walk you through the facts about the dark web. In this guide, you're going to learn the levels of the internet, the trouble that the dark web can bring, and what to do if your kids have been there. This is one of my most popular guides, and you can get your free copy at thesecuredad.com or by clicking on the link in today's show notes. As we talk about privacy today, I want to mention that I have been a happy customer of Delete Me for years. I've even gotten the chance to interview Rob Chevelle on this show, and he is a fierce privacy advocate and the co-founder of the parent company. To learn how you can delete your information from data brokers, look for the link in today's show notes. And if you want to take the privacy of your devices to the next level, which is a very good idea, you need to consider a Faraday solution from Silent. I have Silent's credit card blocker, a Faraday sleeve for my phone, and even one for my key fobs. Silent's Faraday sleeves and bags block all of the signals coming to your devices and essentially takes them off the grid. This stops skimming and hacking attempts in their tracks. And because you are a listener of this podcast, Silent is offering you a discount of 10% when you use the code TheSecureDad at checkout. That's TheSecureDad, all one word, at checkout. See their line of products at the link in the show notes. In our quest to better understand the world around us and how it affects our safety and our privacy, we're going to learn about something called smart retail. Smart retail is a term for when businesses use various technologies to create, quote, an enhanced shopping experience for in-person shoppers. That means companies will use technology in their stores to find out things like who is shopping with them, the foot traffic of the location, understanding shopping behavior, and of course demographics. And if you're a member of their loyalty program, you might get a special greeting or a discount when you walk into a store. Knowing what we do about technology and our economy, smart retail kind of sounds like the next reasonable step in brick and mortar retail, right? So why on earth am I talking about this? Companies are most likely going to be using facial recognition to execute these goals. And let's make an important distinction here. Facial detection and facial recognition are two different things. Some systems detect a face of a human and execute a command like opening a door. Simple. Facial recognition, on the other hand, matches the unique identifying information of our face and matches it to a stored digital profile to identify and track us. And this is not something new to retail. Some stores are using it now, and some have been using it for a while. I mean, maybe it's just me, but did you know that your face was getting logged when you walk into certain stores? Now, not every retailer does this, and not every location of a retailer has this technology in place, but let me tell you, it's been the Wild West in some places when it comes to this technology. But don't you think that you should give your permission to be tracked at a store, especially when they don't obviously disclose that you are being tracked? And even if I give over my email address or my phone number for a loyalty program, that does not mean I give permission for my face to be tracked. These are all things that we need to know, and right now there's little to no regulation of this software or this practice. Now, stores have been using facial recognition to spot shoplifters and deny them entry to their stores. This is just a natural evolution of loss prevention. There was a large pharmacy a few years ago that was using facial recognition to spot repeat shoplifters, and they got sued when their system misidentified a shopper. Since then, systems like this have gotten a black eye, and companies have said that they're not going to use facial recognition. Some retailers say that they're going to stop, but then they start back after the news cycle settles down, and some say that they stop, but there's still evidence that they're using it, and it's been very vague. Recently, self-checkout registers at stores have been under fire for using invasive technology. Now, most of us know that people steal at self-checkouts. Not everybody. I use self-checkout all the time and I don't steal, but some people do. They use techniques like the banana trick to buy items for the wrong price. The trick is placing a barcode from a cheap item onto an expensive item. To the human that is monitoring 6 self-checkout registers at once, it looks like the person has scanned the item, but of course it's the wrong barcode. And someone just bought a new camera for the price of a banana. So retailers are stepping up their game to prevent theft, and honestly, I don't blame them. That's why you see these overt screens above the checkout terminal that says you're on camera. Honestly, I see these so often I forget that they're there. And what you may not know is that there are cameras overhead and down low to check out the rest of your cart and to see how you are checking out. And what can happen at some of these registers today that is not technically facial recognition is that a snapshot of your face is taken when you swipe your credit card. That means that when I use my credit card with my name on it, the store takes my picture and saves that information so they have an idea of who I am. But if my credit card is stolen and used at one of these registers, then it's useful to law enforcement to get a picture of who has my card. So it's not all bad. So how can facial recognition in retail work? Does every store have its own facial recognition software and a team that processes all of this data? No, they don't. For a store that uses facial recognition, what happens is we walk in and the camera on the ceiling snags our faces. You can see cameras like this today because sometimes they have that overt camera that's right in your face with a monitor overhead that shows you walking in and the recording is in process and you're on camera and all that. That image would be sent to a system that analyzes your face and matches you to a digital profile. While that digital profile may be on a server at that location, there's going to be a greater network beyond that. Facial recognition is an expensive endeavor, and there are less than a dozen vendors in the US that provide a service like this. So our digital profile resides in a massive server somewhere in the world that's being kept by one of only a few companies. My speculation is that these companies share the information in their database with all of their clients. So if you get tagged in store A in January and then you walk into store B in February, the system will already know who you are even though you've never set foot in store B before. Now this raises some questions. Do these companies have Chinese components? Do these companies work with law enforcement or the US government? Who controls what's done with our data? Do we have any say in it? Can you imagine what data mining would look like for data brokers if they could get a hold of our facial recognition data and what we do in a brick and mortar store? That's a legitimate concern for the future. I don't know what the answer is to all these questions, but there are nonprofit groups and activists who are working on it. This could be a slippery slope to a surveillance state as we see in China today. If you'd actually like to get a perspective on that, you can listen to my bonus conversation with Josh Summers, who talks about his time living in a heavily monitored city in China. That is the bonus episode for episode number 180 if you want to listen to it. Now, this is the point of the show where I tell you how to defeat the problem or how your family can overcome it. However, I don't really have a robust solution. You can opt out of having your face scanned like at places at the airport, which I highly suggest you do. And anywhere else that wants to scan your face, as Disney did for a while, say no. Currently, Disney says they are not using facial recognition for guest identification. You can also avoid stores that are using facial recognition like Macy's. Not every store reports that they are using this technology, which really makes it hard to know which ones are safe. If you don't have to disclose to people that you're using facial recognition, then why on earth would you? We need to push for some sort of legislation, at least at the state level, that compels a store to warn you that you are going to be walking into a place that uses facial recognition. Of course, cities like San Francisco have already banned it. And yes, you might be thinking, well, I'll just stay at home and never go to a store again. But that's no way to live your life. Another thing you can do is actually distort your image. There are companies that make clothes that are created to scramble facial recognition, but they are, as you would guess, weird looking. There is also anti-facial recognition makeup and sunglasses that you can get. And the jury is still out on whether or not a simple COVID mask will keep you from getting tagged. But I think it's worth a shot if you're really worried about it. That's really a low-key solution. Now, I know masks are a controversial topic, but they might be useful when it comes to avoiding being recognized at a store, so just think about it. Lastly, on social media, you're going to want to avoid tagging yourself in photos. Tag photos offer a virtual trove of images that can help companies build a profile on you. Your photos can be scraped and added to databases without you knowing. Of course, this technology will become more advanced, and we'll have to change some things as we go. For now, we need to voice our concerns at the local, state, and federal levels for regulation of facial recognition and the databases that they create. Well, that's all that I have for the Secure Dad podcast for today. Thank you, friend, for listening. If you want to protect your devices like me from hackers and skimmers, check out Silent's line of Faraday solutions. Use the code TheSecureDad for 10% off your entire order at checkout. See their line of bags, sleeves, and gear at the link in today's show notes. I'm Andy Murphy, and until next time, take care and be secure.